Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Ivan Anz, the founder of Philanthro Investor. He's also a two-time Inc. 500 entrepreneur, and he's done over $100 million in investment deals. He's got some of the most unique approaches to real estate investing that I've ever heard, and I'm really excited to jump in. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the box down below. Like this video so other people just like you can find it. And as always, if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button because this is the show for you. We'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. All right, we are live here with Ivan Anz, and very excited to be talking with you today about quite a few different interesting things that you're doing, mainly in the real estate space around your $100 million investment fund. And I know you're also doing some unique investing with environmental stuff and water and all sorts of cool things. So very excited to dive in with you today. Maybe we can start at, I know that when you first were getting started, you had a Toyota dealership, and that's kind of how you cut your teeth. And then I think on the side, you were doing some real estate investing, but why don't you take me back to how it got started for you?
Yes, of course, Oliver, and thank you for having me in your show. The story started around, many years ago. I've been an entrepreneur since I am 7 years old. And I had my first venture when I was renting my go-kart to my friends in my neighbor and charging them some money while selling them candies at the same time. But yes, but since then I've been doing many entrepreneurial life and many companies. And in 2009, I hit the point that where I was positioned with 4 different CEOs, with 4 different companies in Argentina, and which is where I were born. And the point that I hit there was that now I have a lot of money and I have time because I have the CEOs. So now what I do with my money? So I started investing that money. And when I started investing the money, I found myself behind a screen from being with my employees and my clients and my company's involvement and life and purpose and engagement to say, oh, now I can manage my company's meeting with the CEO once a month and that's it. But now what I do with all of this, so now I am looking at the screen every day. I'm looking at numbers going up and down in the screen and making and losing money and all this speculation in the investment world. And I start going depressed. And I thought for myself, wait a minute, there is something that should exist somewhere that I can not only invest, but invest with the purpose. I will not only grow my money, but change people's life at the same time. Then I go and I research, philanthropies. When I say philanthropies, it doesn't work for me because philanthropies is just giving money away and then I don't get anything in return. I need this. And then investor, I was finding things that were only money for money, just for me. So I was at that time creating a private neighborhood, Oliver. And when I was creating that private neighborhood, I realized that it was also developing a private neighborhood in Argentina. It was selling lots for money. So I will sell the lot, I will get cash. Sell the lot, get cash. Until one day that this guy is sitting in my car, I am showing him the neighborhood, and his name is Andres, and he is with his kids in the back of my car. And he says, Ivan, I love the lot, but I cannot spend $50,000 right now. I don't have it. And the kids in the back start saying, Daddy, we want to live here. Daddy, we want to live here. So I just put this, the hand in my head and I say, oh my gosh. So we go out of the car and we speak with Andres. And I talk to Andres. And Andres says, Ivan, I cannot even, I cannot. And I say, well, can you give me 50%? And he says, no. Can you get the loan from the bank? And he says, no, because I lost my credit because I missed one credit card payment. So I don't qualify for a traditional mortgage. And that was 2009. And I go to the Thursday night, I remember very well, I am taking a shower. And when I am taking the shower, then I receive this God revelation, Philanthro Investors. And I think for myself, what are you trying to tell me? Like, what is this? And he tells me, Ivan, in the long future from now, the $500 billion that are going to the gambling industry every single year, it will not be that way. People will have higher level of conscious on how to treat their resources, their money, and it will be a higher level of conscious to make sure that the money is not just benefiting you, but at the same time giving benefit to others and improving other people's lives. And that's Philanthro Investors. And I just listen to all this story when I am taking a shower. It was kind of, like coming from somewhere. I was listening this. And I realized the idea, and I call Andres this morning. I say, Andres, how much can you pay per month? He says, how much can you pay per month? How? Yeah, how much? He says, well, $250, $300 a month. And I say, you know what? The lot is yours. How the lot is mine? And he starts jumping on the other side of the phone, and he tell to his kids, and the kids start saying, Daddy, and we have the lot, and the family is so happy. And I am listening to all of this on the other side. And then when I say to him, there is two conditions. You will sign the land contract, of course, and I will finance with no interest rate because it was US dollars. In Argentina, it's already well for 15 years, and you will pay me $250, $300 a month. But you need to come to the lot on Saturday, and you need to come, and we will do something. So they come on Saturday, and they plant a tree together with all the family in their lot, and they cut a green ribbon between two torches.
Love it.
And that's how housing Philanthro investing started in 2009. Then my wife tells me, Bella, who is, my partner in business also, she says, Ivan, why we don't go to the US and bring this idea to the US? Because everything that happened in the US, the world will copy, the good and the bad. So I tell her, no, Bella, there is no way, because the US is the American dream country. Every single family owns their home. Every single family owns their car, and they live the American dream. So why are you talking to me? Well, I don't think you're right, Ivan. So I start doing research, and in 2010, I start traveling to the US to go to different real estate seminars, workshops, and so on. And I discover that 51% of Americans do not qualify for a traditional mortgage. And then I discovered that the US is in the ranking number 43 for the countries with highest home ownership rate in the world. The US is number 43 with 36% of families being tenants, like households, 36% being tenants. And then I say, oh my gosh, in my country, it doesn't work that way. Like almost everybody own the home, right? So that's how we start creating. And then I launched my company, Equity and Help, in 2014. I hired a CEO who is, to run the whole company in operation in the US. And Equity and Help is connecting investors from 14 countries right now to support families in the US to be homeowners. How? Because I discovered another thing. I discovered that there is 50,000 families losing their homes every single month before COVID. Now it's like 5,000 because of the thing on restrictions on foreclosure. But when I discovered that, I say, oh my gosh, so the banks are having a big problem because they have all this inventory. The municipalities are having this problem because there is a lot of abandoned homes in the neighbor. The families are getting evicted. There is no philanthropic viewpoint from the banks with the families. And all of this problem is happening. So I put together a whole machine in 2014. And just to give you the short story, the investors buy the homes from us. We buy them in homes in foreclosure and different auction houses and banks and so on. And the housing philanthro investors are buying the homes, let's say at 40K, 45K, a home that has an ARV of 100K, and then they sell it to the families for 55 or 60K, so they get a 25% equity, but the philanthro investor becomes a private lender with a philanthropic viewpoint. Because instead of going and putting 5 or 10K in the houses, they are just giving this equity to the families. And as they are giving the equity to the families in day number one, these families walk in with a $1,000 to $2,000 down payment, and they have $30,000 of equity in day number one. So that's one of the philanthropic parts. The other philanthropic part is that these families are paying $550 a month to live in these homes, while rent will be $1,100 or $1,200. And they're coming and putting sweat equity in the homes, and they are improving the asset, and they're improving the neighborhood. And it's already proof that homeowners help more in their community. And so overall, the company is an Inc. 500 company. 3 years in a row, we made it up to the position 83 in the Inc. 500. It has a whole team based in the Tampa Bay area. And philanthro investors, housing philanthro investors, have already invested we have already like 47 million in equity and health that we recover assets from banks and auction houses and so on. So that's the short story. And the whole portfolio is given to the philanthro investors approximately 21% in equity gain in average in the first year, and a 10.2% cap rate every single year after that. So They buy a minimum of 3 houses, because that's our minimum for around 120, 130,000, because we want them to be diversified in 3 families. And we have these homes in 32 states. But this operation, I am envisioning taking it worldwide for the same model to help families across the globe and so on. So, that's what it is on the housing philanthropy investing side. And I can share a video with you that show you the family of what a family is experiencing if you want.
Yeah, I think we can take a look at that in a minute. I just kind of want to recap a little of what you said, because that's a really interesting spin on investing, tying in that philanthropic component. But it sounds like, so back in Argentina, you worked your way up in the car business, owning a few car lots, and then kind of transitioned the money you were making there into real estate, kind of becoming a sort of private lender almost on accident by helping your friend buy that lot. And that kind of sparked the idea of, hey, I should do this for more people. And then you took that idea, brought it to the United States, are buying foreclosed properties off the bank for 40 to 50 cents on the dollar, and then reselling them back to the family at 60, 70 cents on the dollar?
You're right. And then we do some basic repairs between the purchase and the sell to the family.
Wow, that's really cool. What about how do you qualify that? Because I know obviously with foreclosures, there's a lot of tough situations. People maybe kind of lost everything and don't maybe have the ability to repay. So I'm curious just how you're qualifying the deals that you're going after to make sure that end buyer can perform on the money that you're lending essentially back to them.
Yes, totally. Because the qualification for the families is one of the key points here. And this qualification, Oliver, how we do it is that we want to make sure that they have a minimum of 2 years of a stable job, that they can. We don't check credit score because they will not qualify.
There's no point.
Exactly. So we check that. We ask for bank statements. We verify it through bank statements, and then we also make sure that they have handyman experience, because we don't want them to be spending money in hiring labor for the improving of the home, which is the end result, is the creation of this happy home that after a whole process that we have of 50 different things that needs to be done. With the coach and support from our office, we go with the family through the process of creating this happy home that we call, right? Which is the rehab of the home for them, but they do it themselves. So that's part of the qualifications also. And we also call the landlords, the actual landlord, to check how they are paying the rent and so on.
Got it. Okay, so you have those qualifiers in place. And then how are you getting the deals that you're buying? Is it all just in bulk off the bank, or how do you target and qualify?
Well, listen, we receive around 5,000 properties per month from different places. And then we have a software which we call the Equity and Health Matrix, which is the Coca-Cola formula, we can say, of my company. And then we plug in that Excel files. And then from 5,000, we cut it down to 100. And then from that 100, we cut it down to 50. And it needs to fit our formula. It needs to fit a lot of criteria. It's like 13, 14 different indicators. Okay. And it compares with multiple websites in the internet. We do have a very precise system that we have been developing in the last 5 years. And and that's basically what it is. And then the last 50 comes to the last 20. And then we buy 5 to 10 properties every single week on the best that we can find. And then we support that to our Philanthro investors, provide that to our Philanthro investors, that then they become the private lender to the family at the end. That is this end buyer that walks in with $2,000 down payment and then paying the $550 a month since then.
Got it. So you're getting these properties, you're analyzing them with your formula. When you find a couple that you like, let's say out of the 5,000, there's 50 that you want to go after. What are you doing to go after those? And what sort of offers are you making on those? And then let's talk about how you're funding and financing those deals as well, because I know that's through the fund, I'm guessing, but let's start with kind of the first part.
Yes, the first point I want to clarify is that I don't have a fund. It's not a fund. I will explain more deeply.
Got it.
Now, the housing philanthropy investing in equity and help, we fund ourselves the purchase of the property. So it's my company's capital. So we purchase to the bank, we do the basic repairs, and then a philanthro investor comes and he buys the properties from us.
Got it.
And he gets on title, but then he hires us, my company, as a property management. And then we continue the relation with the family and collection of the payments and all of that. And then we have a report that is delivered to the Philanthro investors every single month on very, very, very detailed, showing that everything that happened in their portfolio. And the key thing here is that we put the Philanthro investor to be the CEO of his own portfolio. So he makes his own key material decisions. Why? Because why I created it that way and not as a fund, and why I give the responsibility and decisions to the Philanthro investor. Because when I was studying investments, I find out that a lot of promotion was in the world saying passive income equals financial freedom. Passive income equals financial freedom. And it didn't make sense much to me, because I started researching the definition of the word freedom, and I discovered that freedom it is not connected at all with laying out in a chair in the beach doing nothing and receiving money every month. No, that's where life ends. If you just stop all your games and you're laying out in a beach and just receiving money, right? So I realized, wait a minute, something is not right here. So freedom is the word, when you research more, is connected with having a purpose, with having knowledge, with having control of your own environment, with being alert of what's going on in your environment, with being engaged, with making the decision in your environment, with having fulfillment for what you create in your environment. So then there is this guy that says, oh, here is the money, $1 million, you do everything for me. No, Mr. Sir, you don't qualify to be a philanthro investor. So that's why we do 24 questions to qualify the philanthro investors.
Okay. Before you go into that, because I do want to know what those 24 things are. So essentially you're finding the deals, you're purchasing them with the company's money, then you're packaging them up to pass on to a philanthro investor that fits based on your investment criteria and their investment criteria. And assuming it's a good fit, then you pass the deal to them. And are
Yes.
you still involved? Is it a you and them together thing, or
No.
is it you're just passing it off at that point?
They become 100% owners of the assets now, and they hire
Okay.
my company as a property manager, and
Got
they
it.
are involved with us. First of all, they choose the homes. So they know what are the homes that they are choosing. We have a whole detail that comes from our software that says, hey, this home is better than this one because this and this and that. But they have the last decision on what homes to buy across the entire US, and based on our inventory, right? And then after that, the philanthro investors goes to the CEO seat, and then, okay, we find the families and so on. But let's say that a family comes on and says, hey, I had a life situation. I lost my job. I just had a baby. I had a medical situation. I have any life situation. So in that point, we will communicate that to the philanthro investor, and he will decide what he wants to do. There is multiple options. He can say, I am going to do philanthropy with you because you are a good intention family, because we have good intention families and bad intention families, but we have 7% of default in 7 years, 7.2% of default. So anyhow, the system works, it's good. But
that's impressive. That's something I wanted to ask you, is what percentage of people default, and 7%. It's pretty good.
Exactly. So, but the reason why is because these families feel the help from our company. That's why we are called equity and help. They feel that if they have good intentions, they're not going to default with us. So they are in communication with us. So the philanthro investor decides there, because if the family is in good intention, maybe they say, oh, I am adding $50, $100, $200, whatever to my payment. Then the philanthro investor can say, you know what? I am going to do philanthropy with you, and I am going to gift these 3 payments that you're late. So I will make you current right away. Or I will say, I will send these 3 late payments to the end of the loan. So now you have 243 payments. Or I will just increase the monthly payment for $10, $20 for the next 20 years. So the philanthro investor makes the decision. And listen to this is very cool. And if the philanthro investor cannot do it because he really needs the payment to live or whatever, then we have a global philanthropic fund that will give the money to the philanthro investor, the 3 months of late payments, and will finance to the families at 0% interest rate for 15 months.
Wow. Wow, that's a really interesting model, and I'm guessing that it works out great for you as well, because you're getting the property management piece on the back end. So you're probably making your fees up front to package the whole deal, sell it to the investor, and then you get the recurring revenue by doing the property management on those deals.
Yes, we charge $60 per month to the philanthro investor per property per month to do the property management. So it's not something, it's very nominal fees. Right. And then we charge $500 from the $2,000 down payment when we sell the property to the family, when we find the family. So that's basically our model, and it's just phenomenal. We have philanthro investors in 16 countries, Oliver, and the families in 32 states, and we are growing, and we are going to go into international of the model in the future, so we can help families all over the world. That's my vision. There is a book coming out, House in Philanthro Investing, coming out next year, Q1 2022, which goes over the entire thing in the book. So it's
very cool.
Very good. I can share with you a video.
Yeah. No, I love this model. I think it's really unique. I think it adds a lot of value for a lot of people. It helps a lot of people, which is really cool to kind of see how that all fits together. And then in terms of like the investors that you're attracting, how are you attracting them? and what are those 24 things that you mentioned, or kind of in a nutshell, the type of people that are investing with you and how you're kind of finding them?
Well,
And what's in it for them, right? What do the returns look like for them?
yes, the Philanthro Investors, we find them basically in word of mouth. One Philanthro Investor brings us another Philanthro Investor. We are a kind of a boutique firm, right? And we have, of course, Facebook advertising and things like that. But we grow by word of mouth. And the Philanthro Investors itself, in average, the whole portfolio in the last quarter is showing me numbers of 20% equity gain, which is the difference between what the investor purchased for the house and what he sold it to the family. And then it's showing me an average cap rate of 10.14% per year. And that's an average. So we have Philanthro investors that are making in their portfolio 13%, 14%, and we have some that are making 8.5, 9%. But it's just everything on the development of the portfolio. So the first year is lower, of course, because you need to have the time until we find the families, the location of the families, the stabilization of the families, all of that. But then the second year, it stabilized really well, and that's our experience so far.
Very cool. And then when the investors come in, are they able to pick and choose what they want, or do you just match them with an investment, or what does that look like?
No, they need to pick. They pick. We don't match them, because we show them what we have in inventory, what it is available, and because of the demand is higher than what we find in inventory every single week. We have a waiting list of approximately 3 to 4 weeks, sometimes more, between the time that the investor moves the money to escrow and the time that the homes are ready for him. So that's how it works.
Cool.
And
no, that's great.
Yes, and he start picking the assets himself and so on. Remember, he's the CEO of his own portfolio. And if you allow me to share a short video of a family, you will see what I mean.
Yeah, let's take a look.
We've been here for almost 3 years now. 3 years?
Yeah.
3 years. And it's home. It feels like home. This is home. And we still, the most fun part is we still got stuff with things that we want to do. It feels good to be able to call your house a home. You know what I mean? And it's a difference. It's a very big difference to be able to paint a wall green if you like. I've never heard of a program like this. That's the difference between trying to find a landlord to work with you so you can have a place to stay versus a whole company. You know what I mean? That specializes in helping home people who most likely wouldn't be able to get a traditional mortgage. I try to be colorful. We call one room the gold room, one room the red room. So that came from my daughter. So, and then we kind of got carried away with it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very cool. Yeah, it's an interesting take, getting to, put the people back in their homes, back in those properties. That's a really interesting take. Now, if there's homeowners that are kind of close to the foreclosure date now, like, is there something that they can do to contact you before then, or is that too early?
In our experience, it's too early. It needs to fit our pricing also, because we don't go beyond. We are helping the low middle income families, the hardworking families, the working class family of the U.S., and mostly the majority of our assets are in rural areas. Some are city, but our average city will have between 10 to 20,000 citizens, and that's the place. But the thing is that so it needs to fit the whole model exactly. And of course, they can contact us and we will check if the model fits, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. I really like what you're doing. Another thing that I saw that you're doing that I found really interesting is you're doing investments around water. And I saw that you said that water is the new gold. And so I'm just curious to learn more about that. What is this water investing that you're doing and how does it work?
Yes, now we make it to how I say that we have almost 100 million invested from Philanthro Investors, but it's not a fund. There is also 45 plus million from Philanthro Investors, but from water Philanthro Investors, also in different areas of the world, supporting one of our companies, Origin Clear, which is a company that is the water company for the new economy, but I will say it's the most innovative water company in the entire planet, because it is allowing people to be back in exchange. To let water trust us again. Because listen for a moment, we've been using water for years. We use an average 51 liters per day is what we use of water per person between everything that we use. But then how much are we improving the water per day per person? Because it's just that mathematics. It's not about the amount of water in the planet. It's about the quality of water in the planet. So we have Origin Clear that allows water philanthro investors to support planetary water and to put them back in trust with water. Because listen, like we use all this water, but then we go to the restroom and then we just throw paper in the water, in the toilet. And here we say, okay, I drink with water, you are giving me life, but then I give you trash to you. And so what about if a philanthro investor has a possibility, if a person, to just contribute his own resources that he's making in a part thanks to water, because without water you cannot live and you cannot produce. So because of that, what about if we have a platform that allows the philanthro investors to give back 100 liters of water per day of high quality water to the humanity? But you are using only 51. Even if you give 53 liters, you are now good with water. So
how does it work?
Okay, so we have a whole platform that is designed to connect the philanthro investor with supporting the company, and the company itself, in this case, is an investment in the company, and the company has a technology to decentralize. Remember, English is my second language. Decentralize the water in the world in the point of use, similar to how the energy has decentralized with solar, similar to how the finances are decentralizing with blockchain and cryptocurrency. This is the decentralization of water. And the whole technology, and also why it's the most innovative one, because it's the only water company in the planet that has a blockchain aspect to it. We patent H2O as a utility asset-based token to support water contracts for what we can call Waterflix. It's not a Netflix, it's a Waterflix.
Okay, I like it.
Imagine that, huge corporations, instead of depending on the city or depending on buying an equipment that is $1 million for a whole corporation to have high quality water for everything, where there is 3,000 employees working or something, they can have a Waterflix with Origin Clear, which we call water on demand, based on how much liters of water they use is how much they pay. And then there is the whole crypto aspect, that people that invest in the Almos launch token in the blockchain, they will have this asset base of the water equipment that is below the blockchain to support this whole water improvement in the planet. So that's the basic structure. And tonight specifically, if we are live and someone that is listening to me, you can come to oc.gold/PI. I don't know how to put it here. You can put it here. If I put it in the chat, they will see.
Yep, put it in the chat. We'll drop it down below.
Okay, so if first of all, pi.today is the website for Philanthro Investors for them to learn everything about that, all our units. And then oc.gold/pi is for them to register to tonight's webinar, which is a briefing on how water philanthropy investing is growing and what is happening and the evolution. We do once a week, but tonight will be really, really important for the people that is listening, and you really want to learn what is the future of water, why water is really the new gold, and so on, right? So
very cool.
Yes, that's
so let me just see if I'm understanding this, because this is a cool and big and crazy idea.
Yes. This is an
so you're
Elon
using
Musk type idea.
What's that?
It's an Elon Musk type of idea.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. So you have a blockchain, H2O. Is that the token name?
Yes, H2O.
So
it's not like
token. People can buy H2O token. Somehow that money, based on the contracts or whatever, flows through to the entity, and the entity is then what, mining wells, or what is the money going towards?
Okay, the money is going towards equipment.
Okay.
That then is the equipment that is going and improving the quality of the water in commercial for now. We are not in residential, but the biggest amount of water right now is being used in commercial and agriculture. That's and farming, basically. So that's the two focus that we have. We don't have residential yet.
So is the equipment that you're talking about, is this like purification equipment? Is this well drilling type equipment, or what or both?
Well, we have a concept. That's why you need to learn it from the first hand from my CEO in Origin Clear. But we have the equipment that is the money is going mainly to the equipment, and the equipment is improving water quality. Yes, so basically the water is coming dirty and it's going in good quality, right? So we are improving the water. But then we also have a concept which is a concept where we are launching just think on this for a second. Imagine if you have what happened with gas and oil wells in the past, how you have that machine, producing in the wells, and that's producing cash flow. Imagine if the same can happen with water. So now imagine that you can have a company and a system where you can install through the water equipment a water well, and you say how many gallons I clean, how many gallons I improve the water in the world, and then how much cash I get, because someone is paying by the gallon, and someone is in the water fleets in a corporation, so they don't need to invest $1 million in buying a huge equipment.
Wow, very cool.
Yes, very
cool idea. I think that's super progressive. Obviously, very important challenge to solve, and I'm sure there's a lot of money to be made as well for the people that are able to solve it. So
totally
very
right.
cool, very cool on that.
Totally right, and yeah.
Last couple questions I had for you. I know that you live in Puerto Rico now, right?
Yep, I live in Puerto Rico now. That's right.
So 2 questions. How is it there, and how are the taxes?
Okay, so I moved to Puerto Rico first because my father-in-law was looking to retire from Argentina in the Caribbean, and he says, Ivan, I have a lot of friends in Puerto Rico that came when I was a young adult. They became friends and now live in Puerto Rico, so I am going to go and I want to move there and so on. I say, well, I live in Florida. I will go and be 2 months with you. So I am here 2 months, and we're talking 1 year ago. And then I say, wow, this is great. And everybody speaks Spanish, is my language, and the food is amazing. Spain, Italian, French type of food culture and so on, similar to Argentina. And then I go forward, and also my securities attorney, which is amazing and part of my board of advisors, he tell me, Ivan, I am before I come here, and he tells me, Ivan, I am also I am going to move to Puerto Rico also because there is some tax benefits there and so on. So I continue researching, and yes, it's the place is amazing to live. It's just absolutely phenomenal, Oliver. The people, the culture, how nice is the people here, how Latin American type of culture they operate in the sense of, just being very nice, and the happiness level type of, Brazilian type of happiness level. And that's the culture. And then the sceneries are just the most beautiful beaches. One of my hobbies is jet ski. So I have my jet ski, and I have a group, and we cross to the British Virgin Islands with jet ski. And for the whole day, we do 150 miles in the ocean, like open ocean with all the security equipment, of course. And it's just amazing on that. And so you are invited to come and visit me anytime you want here. And
I will definitely do that. I was actually looking at taking a trip. I'm a big surfer myself, so I was looking at Rincon, Puerto Rico. I don't know where you're located, but I hear it's amazing down there.
Yes, I have a lot of friends in the surf club, so I can connect you with them. It will be amazing. And the taxes, of course, are beneficial because you live abroad, like it treated similar to if you are living in an offshore country, right? So,
Right.
But it's just that's the law basically. But the thing is that you have all the U.S. support systems. So you have the banking system of the U.S. You have the all the brands, all the stores that in the U.S. that are the big stores, all that service, all the highways. A lot of $1 billion coming from the U.S. to support the island, and other than the Hurricane Maria that happened 5 years ago and all of that, that's the only thing, but it's like being in Miami. Miami also can hit you a hurricane really bad, right? Or in Texas or in Alabama, right? So that's
Cool.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I love it. Well, I'll definitely need to check that out. That's for sure.
Yes, totally. You want to come home, come stay for a weekend here. You are my guest, and we can have some fun, and I can show you the island.
I appreciate that. That sounds amazing. So one question I kind of like to wrap with is I have two little boys. They're 4 and 6. And I just like to ask all of the successful people that we interview, kind of what would your advice be to the young kids out there on how to be successful in life?
Okay, so I was in a podcast this week, just 2 days ago, that is a podcast of a guy that what he specializes in is writing books for adults and converted to kids. So he has Kidspreneur something. So it was amazing. And what I told him, that he asked me the same question, is that I will suggest 2 things. To the parents, I will suggest that do not, and this is by my personal experience, do not stop any creation that your kid is trying to do, and treat your kid as an adult in a small body. And let the kid, yes, let the kid give all the opinions that they want. Ask them for the viewpoint. Show them that you are really taking care of that viewpoint, like you are really doing things with that, because you will see that sometimes make a lot of sense. And they just let them to participate. I was with 2 years old. My father was taking me to every single business meeting, and I was just there listening. And I was just sitting there, but he would, and then to another one, and in a trip to another city, and he will have me in all these business meetings. And I think, and when I was creating my business at 14 years old, I went to a bank by myself to ask for a sponsorship to my own 4x4 training company to train adults on how to use 4x4, because I don't know how to use. I cannot drive in the street, but I can drive in the mountain.
Right.
So I went to the bank for a sponsorship and to open a bank account, and nobody said no to me. Like, I didn't have that saying, no, you need to go and study more. No, you need to go and you need to have this thing. No, stop doing business. You are too little, things like that. And then to the kids, I will say that find a dream that is an personal dream. like some dream that is something you're passionate about that improves the society and improves the humanity. And then create that dream and write the same that writing a little story, right? And then just write it like 20 years from now, if it already happened, and it's the whole enterprise that is already created, your company. And then know that the biggest the dream is, the biggest the barriers will be. And you just need to know and treat that game and a company as a game, instead of playing a game with the computer, you're playing a game in real life, and just treat it as a game. And your challenge is now I need to overcome this barrier and this barrier and this barrier. And the bigger the dream, the bigger the barrier, because you have a bigger purpose. And just treat it as a game. Okay, you lose one time, you need to pass the barrier. Each barrier that you jump and you overcome, it will give you, you will be feeling better, and it will give you more freedom, and the purpose will be, you will be seeing in the physical universe that your dream is coming true. And just persist and never give up, because the barriers will give up. You don't give up.
I really love that. I love the idea of gamifying life and treating it like, if this is your goal and you have this many milestones to get there, each one is a level, and celebrate each level that you go through, and kind of gamify it like you were just talking about. I think that's amazing advice.
Exactly. Thank you, Oliver. I really appreciate your space that you have given me to speak in your podcast, and hope we can continue the relation for the future.
Absolutely. We would definitely love to do that. Everybody go make sure you check out Philanthro Investors. We'll put all the contact information down below. And if you guys have any questions, put them down below as well. We'll definitely make sure we circle back. And as always, if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.